What is going on, movie fans, and welcome back to my channel. Today we are reviewing the new film, The Exorcist Believer, which is a sequel to the 1973 film. Is it good? Was it worth it? Should you check it out? We'll be discussing that and much more in today's spoiler-free review. But first, let me know in the comments if you are a fan of the original Exorcist. Are you someone that's looking forward to this new one? And once you've seen it, what did you like? What didn't you like? And more importantly, apparently they're making 2 more of these movies. Let me know if you're excited for that or if you are going to pass on those films based on your experience with this one. Let's talk about it in the comments section. So I shot an out-of-theater reaction literally before I shot this, and I'm going to kind of expand on my thoughts from that reaction. So let's start off going back off of what I was talking about positively about this film. I talked about the performances, Leslie Odom Jr. and Dowd, and some of the moments from the little girls stood out to me. But going back to Leslie, what I liked about what they did with his character, number one, he's a great actor. I've always been a fan of his. He was fantastic in One Night in Miami. He's great in everything I've seen him in. He plays a father that has a complicated relationship with religion due to something that happens to him and his wife, and it ties to his daughter. So I like what they were doing with him for the most part. He was one of the few characters in this film where I was like, you know what? He's helping me navigate through this rocky road of a film, because I said it in my reaction. 1973 Exorcist, as a fan of horror, I respect it. It's not my favorite horror film of all time. I don't think it's the scariest film of all time, but I respect it for what it did. And what I like about that movie is the angle with the priest, the Rocky Balboa priest in the original, and how he was kind of losing his faith. I compare that character to what we see with Leslie, and I like what they were doing with him because, again, the lack of faith can be a detriment to him trying to save his daughter's soul. So I kind of like what they were doing with that character. I'm always an Ann Dowd fan. I love her as an actress. I like what they were doing with her because she is someone that has a complicated relationship with religion, and seeing what she's able to bring to the table was interesting. So I applaud that. And I want to talk about the little girls because I know it is not an easy thing to do to be at that young age, to play a demonic possessed demon. There are some moments where the little girls are tasked to do a lot, not from just like, let's be creepy, let's be weird, let's try to freak out the audience, but emotional depth, emotional complexity of the character. They're doing some nuanced things that I like from the performances. I blame more of the direction than I do their performances, but there are moments where you're like, oh, that was pretty creepy. That was pretty, you feel you want to save them, because I think for me, as a human being, I hate to see children in pain, suffering. So I think a human emotion overpowered what the film was trying to give me, which wasn't written that well. But again, I applaud those little girls. And there is hints of creative juices going with the religious angle that this film is tackling, because the film is ultimately saying there are various different religions. In the day, it's believing in something that's not evil, and the combination of what different religious beliefs that they try to bring, especially in the third act of the film. One of the few interesting things that this film brought to the table, collectively, I thought most of the performances were solid. I felt like the actors did their job in believing, pun intended, what they were doing, in believing that they had, trying to save their daughters, and all the different emotional things that the film tries to throw at you. So let me get into the negatives here. And I want to start off by talking about David Gordon Green. Now, I used to be a fan of his. He's done some comedies that I've enjoyed in the past, like Pineapple Express. And I'm a fan of 2018's Halloween. There are moments of Halloween Kills that I enjoyed, but Halloween Ends, where the line ends for me. You can check out my reviews on that. But David Gordon Green, I'm going to need you to do something, my man. And this is not to put him in director jail or anything like that, but horror movies, and in particularly classic, iconic horror films, I'm going to need you to stay as far away from them franchises as possible, because I don't think David Gordon Green has a lack of sensibility, skills, talent, creative juices flowing to bring something like this to the forefront, because this is a film that definitely leans a lot in the religious, faith-based themes, because this is almost, at times, I feel like the film was sponsored by your local church, and that isn't a disrespectful comment to people that are very religious. I wouldn't say I'm very religious, but I do have my faith in certain things. But this film really dives into the religious angle, and I don't think David Gordon Green knows how to tackle that subject matter, at least with enough to fully make you invested into the narrative, into the themes and the allegories that the film is trying to throw at you. He is becoming a director that I think has lost his creative flair. This film is soulless. I can forgive a film with a bad script. I could forgive a film with some bad acting or even some bad creative choices from the director. But it's hard to forgive a film that I just deem to be boring from the beginning all the way through the end. There are moments where the film tries to get you on edge, and some people were affected by this. I know people jump scares are effective more so than others for other people. I found the jump scares in this film to be very lazy, to be almost kind of corporate mandated. That's how it felt, because it was just so telegraphed, and just the sound effects and the sound mixing. It just felt like it was a poorly made movie. I just felt like their leader, David Gordon Green, just didn't have the right creative endeavors to really bring this film home. Now, I don't want to put any blame on this actress because she's a legendary actress. I'm referring to Ellen Burstyn. But the way the film uses this character, and there's been a lot within the last decade, Jamie Lee Curtis bringing back to the Halloween franchise, Linda Carter bringing back to the Terminator franchise. I can't think of the actor's name, but when they did that Texas Chainsaw Massacre on Netflix, which was terrible, the idea, let's bring back the old and try to bring us to the new and try to bring our own flair. The Chris character was, and this is coming from a non-big fan of The Exorcist, but I believe this character was truly wasted and disrespected, if I'm being honest with you. Wasn't a fan of what they did with that character, and the stuff they brought from that original into this film, to me, was a waste of time. This film is a waste of time. This film is messy. David Gordon Green's trying to say about religion and what it does to these characters, but it just falls flat. Which, speaking of flat, I mentioned how I thought most of the performances were believable. For the most part, at least the actors believed they were doing. The couple that wanted there, I can't remember the young girl's name, but obviously you have a black family and a white family. Those parents, to me, were so stupid. And nothing against the actors. I'm just talking about how they were written and how they handled their relationship. There was no relationship. I felt more of the belief between the father and the daughter with Leslie Odom Jr.'s character and his daughter. I felt that love and care and wanted to save his daughter. I can't say that about the other family. I didn't feel anything from those characters. And then again, bringing it back to like the religious angle, the priests, I know the priests were pretty big in the original. There's a priest in this film that's just like, I feel like they got him off the street as far as like how impactful or lack of impact they have in the film. I'm going to end it there because I can go on and on and on about, again, I didn't find the production to be any creative things. I didn't find the story to be interesting. I didn't find this film to be something worth watching. Overall, The Exorcist Believer is a film that I don't think is bad. I think it's terrible. I think David Gordon Green is the worst element about this film because his lack of direction really bogs this film down. The pacing isn't there. It is a bore fest. There are interesting elements to be had, but unfortunately they had the wrong person to tackle it. I'm going to give this film a 1.5 out of 5. I believe this is coming to Paramount Plus, if I'm not mistaken, on October 6th. I'm not one to tell people how to spend their money because that's just not what I do. But I wouldn't recommend you pay your money to see this film. Watch it at home if you really want to see it. But that's just my thoughts, y'all. Again, if you like it, I'm glad for you. It just was a film that didn't work for me on a lot of levels, so that's why I gave it the score I gave it. But hey, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Are you looking forward to the sequels? I'm not. This is the last David Gordon Green horror film I'm going to see. But let me know if you're excited for the sequels. Let me know what worked, what didn't work in the comments below. Consider liking, sharing, subscribing to the channel, checking out my other content. Hope you all are staying safe. You're awesome, and I'll catch you on the next video.